Wow, welcome back to The Active Listener, and this is a special episode for Black History Month. And I have a very good friend of mine who's on the line, we're going to be serious today, Ed.
We're going to try.
We're going to try. So let me hand over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I guess starting off my name. So my name is Edwin Panford-Quainoo, but most of my friends call me Ed, spelled E-double-D. I prefer the E-double-D version just to be different. I'm not going to, be annoyed if you spell it E-D, but it's just, let's just make it clear that it's E-double-D.
Just get that in
so,
there.
so yes, just get it out there. Pharmacists by profession, and a chief pharmaceutical officer, global health fellow for England, and currently doing various things. But I guess one of the main ones is I'm currently doing my PhD in global health at the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, but I also teach or support teaching on the MSc program at the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, so MSc Global Health. And then I'm also working on behalf of OXA and CHAMPS, which is based in the Cheshire and Merseyside area, as a program manager. That's a brief overview. I haven't gone into the social side of it yet.
Yeah, I know you're doing a lot of other things besides that, and you're one of those people I genuinely don't know how you manage to be a full-time this, that and the other and do everything else. It always amazes me. I just guess you survive on like 1 hour's sleep a week or something.
Yeah. I mean, 1 hour is too much, actually. 30 minutes, I think. No, I don't know how I do it either. I honestly don't know how I do it. I would honestly say, with my religious background religious hat on, I would say is by the grace of God, in all fairness, because sometimes I do pinch myself, especially when I'm having conversations with friends like yourself, that I realize how much I do or I have done, and I'm still aspiring to do more, absolutely aspiring to do more. It doesn't stop here.
Doesn't stop here. Well, firstly, I must say thank you for the shirt. I hope you're impressed that I'm wearing it for Ghana today.
Yes, absolutely.
I hope I'm not shaming Ghana, but thank you.
No, you're not. You're not. You're rocking it really well. You're rocking it really well.
So we've known each other for a while, probably too long that either of us would care to
admit. Yeah. Let's not go into the years.
All right, okay. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you've ended up being so heavily involved in science before we go on to everything else.
So I was born in Ghana, Kumasi to be precise, but my background as in language that I speak is Fanti. And we moved here early 90s, 1990, I think. My mum was already here as a registered nurse. And then once she kind of settled, myself and my brother joined her here. And it was basically through that that I guess I started finding my place. But the science background, I would honestly admit, that was heavily influenced by mum and the people that obviously her circle of friends and family from a very early age. And certainly I would say science has always been part of my background, and as a result I knew I was going to go into something science-based. I originally actually wanted to do medicine, but not sure how it happened or why it happened, but there's several reasons, and ended up in pharmacy. And I honestly don't regret pharmacy, because I think I have found my niche in that respect, and I've still found something that I've been able to give back to society through as well.
Excellent. It's that giving back that I wanted to sort of unpack with you today. So, you know, I know you're doing a lot in regards to your day job and the research that you're currently undertaking. But you're obviously as well involved with lots of other things. And one of those is the founding of a charity named CB Mentoring. So can you tell me a little bit about CB Mentoring? What is it? How did it start? And what is your role in part of that?
Yeah, so CB Mentoring, CB for Cambridge, was kind of an idea that really sat with me for a very long time when it comes to this whole idea of giving back. The urge for me to do something like that has always been there. I mean, not always, but it's been there for a while. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to do something to to give back to my community, to my people, to friends, family, whatever. So I knew I wanted to do something like that, but the idea, there was always a reason or an excuse, to put it bluntly, reason why I couldn't do it at whatever time. But rewind to just a few weeks after the George Floyd incident, and I saw a post on Facebook, and that post was from the son of a friend of mine. Obviously, he would have been late teens at the time. Yeah, he probably still is. Yeah, late teens at the time. And it was a very lengthy post, which I read. And I thought, oh, it just, the tone of it didn't sound right. The tone of it didn't sound right. So I called him the day afterwards because I was actually working. So I dropped him a text on the way to work saying that, you know, let's have a chat. And we had a chat, and I kid you not, he spoke a lot more than I spoke, and I was doing a lot of the listening. But that conversation I took from that conversation, that lengthy conversation, was what I took from it was that it's time to do something. And it's time to do something, but also with that, because where I worked at the time was about an hour, just over an hour's drive. So on the way back from work, that it's time to do something, but you can't do it on your own. So how are you going to do it? And I thought, you know what, I've got friends who I know can support me in this. So let me send a mass text message to all the people that I was thinking about at the time and see, I guess, who wants to be involved and who can also refer people into the group. And hence the reason why, you know, that's how we then became, 13 strong, including yourself, as a result of that. And the referral and those who said yes, you know, I look back now and we're a strong team. We are a very strong team. So once everyone had actually said yes, it was then a case of, okay, let's have a formal sit down and see where we're going to take this properly. And I remember that first meeting. Once again, it was after work. I parked up in some little driveway or somewhere, and the Zoom meeting kicked off, and it was all of us. Everyone was on there, the smiley faces, the excitement. And for me, it was actually the emotion as well. Because for the first time, something that I had wanted to do for a very long time, that I had processed and not processed or whatever it is, was now coming into fruition. Even if we hadn't actively done anything, for me, that first Zoom call, it was a statement of purpose from everyone that attended. you know, it's like, yes, we're here to make this happen together. And that's the key bit. It was together, because if it wasn't for everyone else jumping in with their support, CB mentoring as it is now would not happen. So that gave me the momentum that we're on the right path as well, because everyone was aligned to the vision. Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit more about that vision, because obviously we've heard about the murder of George Floyd, and one of the positives, if there's anything that could be taken out of the horrendous incident, is that it opened conversations. And I think, you know, what you're saying there is basically been a catalyst for lots of different movements and things that have happened for the good. And you know, I remember at the time, you know, it's over 2 years ago now, isn't it? And you know, there was just such a passion, a burden, and anger, you know, all gambit of emotions and sort of conversations having with people. It was a mix of despair, a mix of like, we can do something. It was a really whole gambit of stuff was going on. And I think a lot of things have happened off the wave of that. And clearly CB mentoring has been part of that movement. But unpack a little bit about the vision, what CB mentoring actually does, what it's about, what is the vision for CB mentoring?
So the vision for as it stands now is to I guess empower young people. And at the time, I personally was focusing more on Black kids, because one, I'm a parent, you know, so I have children that, despite not knowing what was going on, they could have been this boy that I spoke to. They could have been in that position. They could have been dealing with their version of George Floyd, either now or later on in their life. So it was more about and why did it have to be Black? Because you know, some people may ask, is the George Floyd thing highlighted what Black people had been going through, and it wasn't just an American thing, because it erupted emotions globally. And on a personal level, it erupted emotions for me of stuff that I had gone through innocently, you know, and I could give you a whole plethora of examples, but this is not the platform for it. The thing was that we were now in a position where action could be taken, a positive action. So the idea was that, you know, myself and whoever, you know, however many people came on board, we would be able to become mentors for young people in our own way, but be driven in that mentor-mentee relationship, to be driven by the mentee. So that young person to drive how that relationship is shaped and formed. And certainly at that time as well, part of the discussion was that if we felt actually this young person I've got, so say for example, I had this young person that I had was very much interested in photography and all of that stuff, I'll be like, you know what, someone within the group here is actually better suited for you. And if they were interested in the sciences, then yes, you know. So that's how we were kind of pairing, the idea of pairing up in terms of what their interests were. But I was also aware that they may come in without any interest, without any awareness, and therefore we'll just pair them up and just through conversation, see how the mentor can help the mentee, and I guess be a positive inspiration. Because the people around me were all, you know, the part of the CB mentoring group are all doing really well, you know, despite where, if I'm really honest, where we've come from. You know, so we are in our own rights role models, and I wanted these young people to see that it is possible wherever you are to drive yourself forward. And mentoring was something that I only realized the strength of much later in life.
Mm.
And I wanted the young people now to actually experience that, because it is for me, it's driven a lot of positive change personally, and I wanted that positive change to start at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
And once it starts, then obviously, you know, it's been fed, and the offshoots will be even bigger and better. The flowers, or the budding flowers that will come out of it, will be even better. But there were three things, or three pillars, that we had identified. So the mentoring was one, education, or education support, not education, but education support was another, and then social, cultural, I guess exposure was the third aspect of it. And out of those three, the one that came through much quicker was the education support. And in fact, it was actually at the right time for us as well, because some of these young people had missed a huge chunk of education because of the pandemic. So essentially, being able to have someone to sit down with you and explain what the homework entails and even more was ideal. And a big thank you to Wolfson College for allowing us to use their premises for that purpose, because that was a huge I guess milestone for us, and a very positive one, something that was a game changer, and it really has been a big part of the evolution of CB mentoring to where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, I must say it's been amazing, having been involved with the Saturday school, the educational side at Wolfson College,
Mm-hmm.
that partnership, you know, with the University of Cambridge, that you know, the students have become involved with helping the young people with their work. It's been amazing to see both the fruit of that in terms of academic ability for the kids that have been receiving, and they've been growing, but also just the whole thing of role models and finding a space. You know, it's been really, really powerful to have, you know, professional young Black people, professional, not Black students, you know, what better than the other place, one of the best, arguably the best university in the world.
Yeah.
To see kids get inspired by that, but also to go into a college and going from a little bit nervous, is Cambridge for me? Do I have a right to be here? To like, I own it. This is my college, just like everyone else's. Yeah. And I can go into that cafeteria and I can sit down and eat the lunch like everyone else.
And normalize that feeling.
And normalize it. And it's showing that, you know, if you want that, you can have that. It's not just for a set group of people. And exactly. Yes, there's barriers, but those barriers can come down. And I you know, I'm not naive that it's all going to be sorted, but I think it's been really striking, the fact that the kids have felt home there. And I think it's also sending a really powerful message to maybe the white students there, that this is their place too. This is the Black kids' place too. And I think you've seen, or hopefully you'll see, some sort of change going on there. So yeah, shout out to Cambridge University, particularly Wolfson College.
Wolfson College.
Thank you for being involved.
And so, actually, another shout out is to the president of Wolfson College, Jane, for that very first. I remember the very first day we had CB mentoring, and I wasn't expecting her to be there, and she turned up and gave a speech, and I was like, wow. You know, I've got goosebumps just thinking about it, because that was, I didn't expect it. I didn't even know anything. And there she was sitting with us. Yeah. You know, and I was like, this is the president. You know, even I was wowed. Can you imagine? I was wowed. So yeah, thank you. A huge thanks to Jane for, you know, for giving us the space and really giving her time up for us as well. You know, the conversations I've had with her, she's really all for this. really into this very well, very much so.
Yeah, I think what struck me about that as well is like there's no, you know, there's no agenda, right? So, you know, at CB Mentoring, we've kind of been given that freedom to, you know, work with the Afro-Caribbean Society, work with the students in-house, but we've not been told what we have to do.
No,
there's been that real trust.
Yeah.
You know, with us working in partnership, and I think that's been really special. And you know, we've already seen great results. So tell us a little about some of the feedback we've had so far.
Oh, I guess one standout moment for me. So this is the very first day. We had a young girl who was very quiet. When she sees this, she'll know who she is. She was very quiet, wouldn't talk, just really not nervous, but somehow just wasn't, you know, saying much. And we partnered her up with a student from Wolfson College on that first day. And then through the interaction, the student picked up that this little girl liked a particular pack of crisps. And the following week when we met, even though the student wasn't there, she made sure that this girl got the pack of crisps. And I kid you not, the smile on her face, just the fact that a week ago she met someone for the first time, told her, I like, you know, let's just say Walker's Cravers. There are other crisps around, but yeah. I'm not promoting, I don't have any shares in them, but you know, whatever she said, you know, the student took away and made sure that the following week, even though she wasn't going to be there, someone handed it to her. And straight away the barrier was broken. And she found her voice. She found her voice more interactive, a lot more interactive, a lot more sociable, and very, complete contrast to that very first day. And for me, it's little things like that it didn't necessarily need mentoring. It didn't necessarily need Saturday school. It was just one act. One act of something that I'm sure it was less than £1, but it's for me, it wasn't even the financial side of it, but something little changed someone's viewpoint and possibly someone's way of being from then onwards.
Yeah, I'd say as well, for me, one of the major points was, it was at the end of our first term, so it would have been November last year, so almost a year ago. And person will remain nameless, but one of the youngsters stood up and actually shared how their work had produced and had increased, it had got better, how they had improved. In fact, that child's mum had also fed back to us later on how their teachers at school were sort of commenting on the improvements being made, and that was attributed to the time that child had at CB Mentoring Saturday School with those students, that they had time to think. And I think that's one thing that is really powerful, is that one-to-one tuition or guidance that the university students have been able to offer the youngsters. So it's starting again soon, Ed, isn't it?
It is starting again. It is starting again. 15th October, we start 15th. The process again for another academic year. Excited for another, new cohort of new faces and some old faces as well, bringing in experiences from last year, mixing it up with new experiences, and yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting, and obviously CB Mentoring still in the background of all of that. I'm excited. It's been a summer of other things that we've done, but now it's time to get back into the classroom, as they say. Yeah.
And so how do people sign up in terms of children coming along? You know, what age range is we talking about, and what if people want to get involved in terms of helping in some way?
So if you are interested in helping, you can sign up on our website, which I currently I need to get in touch with the web designer, but it is being updated. We had a version to start off with, but now that we've, I guess, grown, in all fairness, a year on, we've grown. We're changing the format slightly to make it a lot more interactive. So there's going to be blogs on there. But anyway, there's a form that you then fill in that will then go to one of our people, and then they will reply. So that on that form, you can then state, you know, obviously, if you are volunteering, what your strengths and everything are, and then we can try and pair you up with either the mentoring side, the Saturday school, or the social side aspect of it. And then if you want your child to be involved, I mean, for the purposes of the Saturday school, we wanted it to be from kind of the late stages of primary school to early secondary, only because those were kind of very huge transition moments. So those that are leaving, going into a new environment, and those that are in the new environment still really, you know, what's this new environment like now? So we wanted to focus on that, but that was last year. Now, you know, with more volunteers, I think we will be able to expand, and it's really supporting education. So they the kids are coming in with their homework, and we're supporting them. So we're not teaching them anything new. We're not giving them assignments. It's whatever they have at school that we're helping them to kind of even, you know, do their homework, or give them extra additional support on certain things that they don't understand. So we're not duplicating anything. We're just literally helping them with what the school has already set for them.
Excellent, thank you. Well, I guess the next thing then, nice sort of progression, is we've spoken about the mentoring, spoken about Saturday school, and you made reference to the kind of cultural and historical stuff. Yeah. Obviously, it's Black History Month.
Yeah.
So that's a nice kind of segue into into that. So tell me a little bit about what Black History Month actually means to you as an individual.
For me, it's a moment to celebrate who I am, where I'm from, and the fact that I am Black, and proud to be Black. For me, I've always said this, I didn't know that I was Black until I moved here. And sometimes you lose certain things being away from your country of origin or where you were born. So I was used to a certain lifestyle and a certain way of being in Ghana, and then I moved here and I've had to adapt. But there is still, underneath that, there is still the foundation is still Ghanaian. So Black History Month allows me to celebrate that. You know, in Cambridge, we have the Cambridge African Network, and they have an event every Black History Month, which includes cultural things, so cultural displays, dances, and ultimately, with most of these things, food. So there's the food aspect of it as well. So, and it's a whole day event. So little things like that makes you reconnect, makes you feel human in a way, if you see what I mean. It's I don't know, but it just makes me feel proud to be Black again, and be able to celebrate who I am, where I'm from, not just with fellow Black people, but sometimes we have, you know, white people there who want to celebrate that with us, and I love seeing that. Absolutely love seeing that. So for me, Black History Month is a moment to celebrate and reflect celebrate and reflect, and especially now that I'm a parent as well, is really eventually getting my kids to I guess own their color and appreciate what it is, the challenges that it will bring, certainly, but appreciate it. Appreciate who you are. You know, God made you the way you are for a reason and for a purpose. So go and fulfill your God-given purpose, irrespective of your skin color.
There you go. And yeah, powerful message there. And you know, he doesn't make mistakes, you know.
No,
so
absolutely not. Absolutely
I think what we must say, CB Mentoring will be at the event on the 29th of October.
29th of October.
So yes, we've put a link in the thing. So definitely come along and say hello to us and have some food. That would be really good. I think one of the things that strikes me, particularly about Black History Month, is sometimes how schools respond to it. I guess my concern would be that it does feel at times that it's maybe centering on, well, we'll talk about Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Yes. Not that those things are bad.
No. Those people do matter. They're part of the storyline, but they're not the story.
Right. And I just think sometimes, you know, just an observation, I think the danger can be that whilst it's good to celebrate that stuff, equally Black history, which is, I mean, in itself, that statement's, well, that's,
yeah.
I mean, how can you, but that's such a broad thing to even statement to say. But I think the message that can come across sometimes through Black History Month is the sense of it's about overcoming adversity, which is powerful, but we can focus so much on things like the slave trade, which I think is really important to tell the truth about and for this country and other countries to process. But I guess what I'm driving at in a convoluted way is there's lots of positivity in terms it's not about people having been victims, that people have flourished, and there's a history other than slavery, right? Do you know what I mean? And
so I'm going to allude to something that I have in mind for future, and I'm hoping that it will happen. So what I'm hoping to do, I mean, it may not necessarily be for Black History Month, but I want the kids, I want to showcase what I would call Black premiership in Cambridge. So I want the kids to see Black people who, like, you know, own businesses, you know, part of the constabulary, work in the fire service, you know, just to see that actually there are people like yourself doing amazing things, and it's not historic, it's happening now.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because that role model or seeing someone doing something that you want to do is a very powerful message, because there might be some child out there who wants to do something, but it's like, I don't know anyone like me who's doing that. But the moment they see and hear and be able to even identify that person down the road or, you know, in the street, when they see them, is very powerful. The TV, yes, they will probably you know, they can Google and see someone doing whatever they want some in another country, but let me show you someone who's doing it and lives in the same city or not very far from you. So it's something that I want to do. It may not necessarily be a Black History Month thing, but it's something that I have a vision. I have a dream. And I remember you know, the first time I spoke to a friend of mine. He took his son to Ghana for the first time, and he said, I didn't realize, you know, there was a whole nation of people who looked like me. I was like, That's, yeah, it was such a powerful statement.
Yeah.
You know, and he said, you know, my son absolutely felt empowered just being in that environment, just being in that environment, felt empowered. Because yes, you know, there was the poor guy on the street, but then there was also the guy driving the Range Rover, you know, and these people all looked like him. You know, and you know what I mean by that. So yeah, so there's a whole plethora of things that we need to recognize, celebrate, be aware of. You know, yeah, and we shouldn't just focus on our history. Is not just about slave trade and oppression. It's not about that. There's a lot more history. You know, there's a lot more history.
Absolutely. And, you know, obviously I'm going to be biased, but CB mentoring, I think, is part of that in terms of bringing that positivity. And I think just going back to what you were saying earlier about the group of people involved, I mean, if we step back and look at all of those volunteers, you know, you got some big hitters there in terms of professionals.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
Inspirational in their own right, but as a kid, being able to look up to them and, you know, they're there for you to talk to, that's really, yeah.
So lawyer, 2 lawyers, accountant, 1 genius, works at Apple. So we have to say he's a genius.
He knows who he is. Or two, actually.
You know, and then you've got Tinike, who's just amazing at. I should have mentioned names. So Tinike, you've already interviewed before, so that's why I'm mentioning her name. Who is just amazing at all things tech. You know, if I don't know how to do anything IT based or even just make I call her and she's like, yeah, that's easy, Ed. I was like, really? How do you make this? But
it's easy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Of course it is. Yeah. You know, we've got our profile on our website, so please do check it out. cbmentoring.org. It's all on there. CB Mentoring, one word. And yeah, check us out. And obviously, if anything you want to get involved, reach out as well, because we want this to become bigger than where we are now. So certainly would love more people to get involved and more, you know, we want to inspire future young people. At the moment, yes, we've it sounds like we're focusing on Black or those children that identify as Black only, but in all fairness, it's open to anyone that wants to embrace what we're offering. You know,
I think that's really noticeable as well. There's a real sense of welcome of whoever you are, and you know, the key thing is you keep that core message. So as we wrap up, what I would say is we're going to have, all being well, a follow up to this where we're going to meet some of the team.
Absolutely.
And they're going to they're probably going to talk a lot more than you and I. We won't be able to get a word in edgeways.
Absolutely.
Especially if I know a couple of them being on that. But we'll hear more about from their perspective and also perhaps where we're going as a charity and what the bigger vision is. So do tune in for that. But in the meantime, Ed with a double D.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the shirt. I think I'm almost rocking it, to be fair.
No, you're not almost. You're rocking it. You're rocking it. You're rocking. From what I can see now, you're doing it justice. So well done.
Okay, that's good. Good. I should have put the sunglasses on for yours, though. I mean, that is some serious colours there. I don't know if I could quite carry that off.
Do you know, I love bright colours. I absolutely love bright colours. This obviously the weather here doesn't do it justice, but summertime, yes, bright colors always.
Exactly.
If you're gonna do it, do it bright and bold.
Exactly, own it.
Exactly.
Own it, right?
All right.
All right. Well,
And on
okay.
that note,
Great to talk.
yes.
And we'll speak again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Take
you.
care.